Okay.
My name is John Charles, President of Cascade Policy Institute in Portland, Oregon. I'm here at the American Dream Coalition Conference in Denver, and we're going to talk about transit.
Yeah, John, can you tell us about what your experience has been with the projections as the advocates for rail are trying to talk the voters into going along with the idea? What's the result, say, years later, that's been your experience of light rail projects?
Well, Portland has had light rail for almost 30 years, and unfortunately there are no light rail success stories, either in Portland or anywhere, really. Anything rail does, bus service can do better, cheaper, and faster. So basically, you're going to spend a lot of money to build, own, maintain, and operate them. No matter how much money you put in, it's likely to be disappointing results in terms of actual moving of people. So in the case of Portland, for instance, we are a rail-dominated transit agency now. In the last 8 years, the all-funds budget for Portland for TriMet has gone up 125%, and the total vehicle hours of service has actually declined by 14% for a number of reasons related to how TriMet operates. But part of it is light rail is expensive to build, it's expensive to own, it's expensive to replace the rail cars 40 years later, and it's just an outmoded way of moving people.
Well, you know, the people of Pinellas County are being told that it's going to bring about a lot of development and that it's going to reduce congestion.
Well, there are probably no examples anywhere in the country where light rail has demonstrably had any effect on congestion. Frankly, if for no other reason, then it's inherently a low-capacity system. Light rail can only have 2 cars per train, or in some cities 3, and occasionally 4, but no more than that, because there's going to be on surface streets. And if you have too many train cars, you block intersections. It's not like heavy rail in New York or heavy rail in Washington, D.C. or BART in San Francisco. So even if everybody magically decided tomorrow morning to ride these rail systems for light rail, there is simply not enough capacity for them. So they can't, even on their best day, they can't move very many people. But the fact is, light rail goes from relatively few places to relatively few places, so it can't possibly make a difference.
Well, we rode the light rail here in Denver this weekend and heard a lot of stories about how noisy it is, too, in the neighborhoods that they cut through. Of course, they do eminent domain, and people aren't thinking much about that, but the noise of the light rail and the announcements was one of the things I hadn't even thought about, was the constant announcements of the microphone over the light rail. Can you comment on that?
Well, certainly if there are rail gates that have to come down and block traffic, anytime the train approaches, you're going to have ding, 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 ding sounds. You're going to have the gates drop. You're going to go back up. This is going to go on for 18, 20 hours a day. And there's a lot of squealing of the wheels. So yes, noise is definitely a problem.
Yeah.
That's why most developers don't like to build these high-density projects near light rail. Rail actually repels development. It does not attract it.
Okay. Well, so I really appreciate your time. What would you say as kind of parting words to the people of Pinellas County that may be on the fence about this very important vote we're going to have on November 4th?
Well, I would say virtually everywhere you want to go for work, for recreation, for family, you will go on a road. You have a ubiquitous road system. So for transit to be effective, it needs to be road-based. Rail systems can only go from a tiny number of places to a tiny number of places. So by definition, except perhaps in New York City, everywhere else in the country, rail is simply, by definition, going to be irrelevant to most people most of the time, because their lives are organized around the existing ubiquitous road system. Therefore, road-based, rubber-tired transit is the only kind of transit that's going to make any sense, financially or in terms of consumer preference.
Well, those are just great points. Thank you so much for that, John, and we really appreciate your time.
Thank you.